Hello, my internet friends. Welcome. I'm going to get my volumes set here. Okay. Welcome to the Rigel Show. We are streaming to you live from my Earth Dome, also known as my mystical driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the cosmic Navel, where song... Oh, come on. Runs through all of reality. I didn't have my piano pulled up there. I was going to play a little ditty along with myself singing, but, you know, it's just how it goes some days. Let's test that piano. Okay, piano's working. This space is a playful Theotokian riparian zone that seeks to integrate traditional values, modern values, progressive postmodern values, and that which is emerging on the bleeding edge of the evolution of culture and consciousness. Postmodern values. Hey, almond tree. Nice to see you out there. Glad you're here with me on this groundless ground. This is where opposites interpenetrate. Hey, Sam. Sam dispensing. This is where opposites interpenetrate and merge, like salt water and fresh water finding harmony in a musical estuary, where the living sourdough yeast, colonizes the inert flour, salt, and water, waking them up into a pungent aroma that soars among the tips of my nostril hairs. A trinity that I consume and enjoy with boisterous laughter, taste buds undulating and processing through the flavors, and what I like to think of as an emission of the Holy Spirit, moving through my nostrils, a thine own of thine own, confirming the truth of your word through divine release. It's this breaking of bread that is more fundamental and more transcendent than truth bound up in the stern propositional adulthood that forgot how to play, who forgot how to listen to the music, because sometimes podcasts are just so delicious. It's a little close to home for me on that. Okay. But today I'm going to enter the cosmic Navel as I normally do, this time through the piano, a little improvisational. I'll bring my fingers on stage with me so you can have almost a full body immersive experience. Usually I do some sort of contemplative little piano ditty, but today I'm going to try something a little more, I don't know, upbeat, rhythmic. We'll just kind of see what happens. And you're welcome to join me at any point. Just click that, click that link in the chat. Say hello in the chat. You know, I'd love to make sure you're seen. Terry, nice to see you. All right, I'm gonna set myself a timer, so because I can get kind of lost in this stuff and just lose track of time, because that's what happens when you are caught up in the eternal present of cosmic navel gazing, which we do a lot of in these parts. Okay, so I'm setting myself a timer, and we're just going to see what bubbles up. Okay. Whew. All right, y'all hear that piano? Hey, Luke. Nice to see you here. Is that a harpsichord? This is not a harpsichord, Luke. This is just what piano sounds like when it is streamed over YouTube. Ron, nice to see you out there. You all are welcome to join me here on screen. I don't do long monologues. What happens with me is I just start making announcements. I'm going to start making announcements, and then, maybe I'll play us a little tune out. Or you can just jump on screen. Right here, there's a link at the top of the chat. You know what? Maybe I can pin that link. I think I forgot to pin that. I'm sorry, folks. This is a admin error. Admin error. Gonna go to my channel. Admin error. Oh, yep, there I am. And here I will pin this link so you can all be here with me. Okay, oh my gosh, we got people coming in. Sam.
Hey, what's
nice
good?
to see you. Terry, nice to see you. Thank you for sparing me from just a litany of announcements. That's although I do want to announce to any Austinites out there that we're having an in-person estuary meetup on November 20th. So if you're in town, please come join us. There's still a few slots open. So, okay, done with announcements. Terry, Sam, so good to see you all. What's bubbling up in the Cosmic Navel for y'all?
You go first, Terry.
Well, first, I liked the music. That kind of fitted the, I got out my window, I've got a combination of gray and gold because there are gold leaves and a gold house across the way. So the music just seemed to fit that. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a great description of that. I feel like there was some somberness in this.
Yes, that's the word.
Kind of rhythmic drive towards
Sprightly
progress.
somberness.
Yeah.
And Sam, I don't think I've met you. I've seen you around enough, but so good to see you there.
Good to see you.
What's on my mind generically is musing on contrasts and parallels between my kind of home base in New Thought and the metaphysics of orthodoxy as I know it, which is less than, but specifically something Paul said this week about how if you're earlier in the century, if you asked people, everyone in both America and Europe would have said that their ethical paragon was Jesus. And now, if you ask them, there is no consensus. They even give you a blank look if you ask who the ethical paragon is. But they're all sure that the ethical negative is Hitler. Everybody's agreed Hitler's the bad guy.
Interesting.
And that got me thinking about how my orientation is kind of focus on the positive thought. What's the relationship between those two things?
That's interesting. Yeah. Sam, do you have any thoughts on that or something you want to just add into the soup?
I think I might have a little more Orthodox theology knowledge than I do New Thought or positive thought theology or understanding. So I'm actually interested in hearing more from Terry, if she could elaborate on what she means by positive thought or New Thought or how all that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, as with any denomination of anything anywhere, there's this much range in any individual congregation. And I actually have been in a congregation for 40 years, and my own congregation has had this much range in it. But from on the one hand, the kind of positive thinking where you ignore suffering, to, on the other hand, being able to look at suffering and see through it the joy, the glory, the lessons, what have you. So I'm trying to, when I talk from that positive end, I begin to think maybe that's the same as the Christian focus, or kind of like they meet at the top is the idea that I'm kicking around.
At the very heights, it meets the very depths. Is that what you're saying?
Well, either that, or there's mature and immature versions on both sides, and the mature versions tend to meet, something like that.
Oh, the mature versions of Christian thought and positive thought, or the mature versions of Orthodox and positive thought.
Yeah, because most of my people will say, those Christians, they're so negative. They're always focused on the negative.
I'm thinking of this in terms of kind of cultural evolution and the development of culture and consciousness. And I like the three worldviews that I'm thinking of are like traditionalism, modernism, and progressive postmodernism, and how, and I'm just trying this on. Like I'm not an expert here, but I get the feeling that there's a certain type of traditional Christianity that is very, like self, what's the word? Beat up on yourself. Like all you see is your sins. And it's kind of like, that's the way you're supposed to go through the world, is like humility means only seeing your own sins. And so there's this kind of like negation of the self. And then modernity was this like blossoming kind of pushing off of the self-negation and saying, no, like we're all selves and can think for ourselves. I think, therefore I am. But then that, and I would dare say that that's where the kind of positivist movement really found its apex, was like out of that like turn of the 20th century into the 20th century, kind of positivity that was both a beautiful correction to maybe an over identification or an over self-punishment mindset, but then developed its own pathologies of like not being able to see the pain, not being able to sit with the pain, and just kind of steamroll through that with The Power of Positive Thinking, which was a very influential book that I read. And so the correction to that is the gift of progressive postmodernism, which is another kind of movement into negation and into negativity, and critiquing the modern positivity that is just so like cliche, and everything is cliche. Everything is kind of deconstructing all things, and totally sit in the pain. You can like sit in the pain. Like if you're not sitting in the pain, you're not like being a good American. Although they wouldn't use the word American. I'm kind of going off the deep end here, but yeah. I'm just kind of sprinkling stuff out there to see what you all think about that.
That's good. I think this is all, is interesting. I think I've been thinking about the sociological versus the sort of personal story. There's sort of like this ability of us to abstract out these big picture sociological movements and talk about them, and I think that's useful, helpful, valuable on some level. But then there's like a person's story is so dynamic that it dances through all of these different movements, and you can kind of see how people, like, I don't know, my own story is like it's being touched by all these different movements at once, and it almost like holds in tension the reality of these things, in a way that's almost so much. It's more real. It's more embodied. I mean, it's more full. It's more. So there's all these polarities that are at play in a person's life where they're, trying to be positive but also negative, and so just the way that all that gets integrated, I think, is really the fascinating kind of piece of this. And I don't really know what integration looks like in a positive thought. I don't know what you call it. Is it? It's not. Is it a religion? Is it ideology? Like, what do you call positive thought?
They call it a philosophy that blends ancient wisdom and modern philosophy.
Okay.
A movement, rather, that.
Yeah. So what is that? What is that ancient wisdom? I guess how do they handle polarities, like dissonant antinomies? Seeming contradictions. How do they hold those tensions? What is that?
It doesn't usually get that deep, and that's why I end up in spaces like this, because I'm kind of struggling with some of the tensions on my own. We do talk about them. In fact, our favorite phrase is "paradox rocks." So
yeah.
So we get the idea.
I love that.
And I love the polarities tool to map. It really helps me. And yet I find many years as I've been doing this, I still struggle with individual instances and decisions. Where on that polarity am I supposed to be in this case? We've got the typical one right now, super parallel to something Paul talked about a couple months ago, where we got a budget problem. So do we address the budget problem hard on, or do we just know that the universe's abundance is going to fill our cup, And I'm saying there, but we've only got 6 months to pay Terry, breathe.
Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road, eh? When the tide goes out, and I think, Roger, was it you? Someone was talking about when the tide goes out and what's left is the rugged.
I don't think that was me, but I'm loving that
like
metaphor.
The water going down, and then
Yeah.
it's just like a bunch of branches and like the stuff that was underneath the water, who was I listening to? Anyways,
I mean, that resonates with me. I spent a lot of time on coastal areas that had drastic tide movements. Yeah. I mean, I think that's partly why this TLC space is so interesting, is it seems to attract people who are already integrating these opposites. And because there's like nowhere else where else can we go to kind of find these people? It's tricky. I'm going to bring Ron in here.
Mega Ron.
Ron, nice to see you. Oh, nice to see you're flossing, kind of keeping that habit up.
I am so crude. I am like not fancy, sorry. But
no, it's beautiful.
Out of the way. I had to jump in. I can't see your names. Let me see if I can. Terry? Yeah, and Sam.
Sam.
Yeah. Cool. So the reason I'm jumping in is because what you were describing to me is when it becomes a moment of faith in the paradox. It's the
moment of what?
Faith.
Moment of what?
Faita. Faith. Yeah. How does that help? Does that make sense? Because you try to do your best to provide for the bills, but when there's a moment where, let's say, you have to allocate money for something else, for God, and you're going to be in debt or in lack, but there's a word, but you're doing the right thing even by almost seem like doing the wrong thing, and knowing that God will provide. Not doing it on purpose all the time, but in certain moments where you do that, and then He does provide. But it seems like you are living in faith, you will be living in debt, and then a miracle occurs, a provision.
Mm.
And the reason I've had that happen to me once.
Mm.
And so, and I don't push it. Like, dude, I work, I pay my bills, and I save. But sometimes when I am called to make a choice to do something for God or protect myself, and I step out in faith and do it for God, that's the moment in which faith provides in that moment of lack.
Mm.
You know, I think the best way I relate to that, Ron, is having faith that something can happen, though it may not look like what I think I want to have happen. Um,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I keep doing the practical things to prevent the disaster.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. It's just, I think when you said, what I really enjoyed is when you said was it a dichotomy? What was the word that you're using?
Paradox?
Polarity?
Paradox.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it was paradox. It was when you said you enjoy it. I think faith is almost a paradox. It is. It's like, okay, we're about to walk on water. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Or turn water into wine, raise the dead. It's a paradox to this world, faith.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah, maybe sorry, Terry, go ahead. I see you're about to
yeah.
respond.
I'm only hesitating because what I'm hearing from Ron, I could hear in two different ways. One being, okay, we're going to walk in faith that the day the mortgage is due, something will happen, or we're going to walk in faith and make the nasty budget cuts we don't want to make and believe that something okay will happen. Maybe it's not prejudiced either way. But
If
when
I
I'm
may,
making the budget cuts, they're telling me I
I
don't
was
have
talking
faith.
about the first case. No, and I understand what you're saying. I'm not talking about the second case. I'm talking about the first case where it's almost like you have you're kind of hard pressed. It's either, give me a second here. I'll be right back.
I mean, go ahead, Rob.
No, it reminds me of faith is a substance. Faith to me always seems like when there's a problem. Faith is never when it's easy. Faith is when you're doomed, and either God shows up or you're dead, or it's the way you described it. The first scenario. I liked that. That to me sounded more like faith. The other one was more like a utilitarian.
Say
Yeah.
more about faith being. Oh, Sam, were you going to say something?
I think it what I would offer here, what I would add. I think about faith, it's the substance of things not seen. So like eyes of faith are like you're seeing something and there's some substantive reality which is beyond what is currently being able to be perceived. So Elijah says to his servant, hey, we're fine. There's all these people, the armies are gathered, but we're fine. There's more with us than there are with them. And the servant's like, what are you talking about, Elijah? And Elijah prays that his eyes would be opened because he can't see. He doesn't have the capacity to see. But the substance is the reality was there's a more real army on his side, a more substantive heavenly army than the armies of the kind of decaying fallen world that were against him. And so it's only when that actual reality is there, because I've seen also the case where someone says, well, by faith, I believe that this X is going to happen. And it doesn't, because it has to actually be, this is why there's false prophets and there's false teachers and there's a reality and then there's a false thing, and having the wisdom to discern when is which and having the experience of seeing, like, and this is where personalism comes in. It's like, it's actually Jesus Christ, the person who is the truth, the way, the life. Like, he is the one, the very God of God with, the eyes flaming and the coming, like, he is the actual one who directs his authority in ways that he wants to accomplish. And so if by faith we're seeing his actions and him and what he's doing, that's one thing. But if we're just sort of like conjuring up a vision of like, I hope one day I get this, and if, I'll just kind of throw my hands up and, it's like, I don't know if that's, I don't think that's faith.
Yeah, it's hard to like create an environment where faith can happen, because like I am so good at calculating and kind of outrunning myself, which is why I think paradox is one of the only kind of practices where I feel like there's probably a way that I think I'm entering into a paradox that I'm actually not. But it seems like seeking out the paradox helps me stay in a place of faith, rather like if I'm getting too one-sided on, like either just like leaving all responsibility behind, just hoping that things will work out, versus like over control and like not letting any faith or any possible negative outcomes enter in, just white knuckling it, so yeah, paradox is like, it's a way to just keep the poetry going in life.
Poetry is a good word for it. Yeah. Poetic knowledge. It's like iconic knowledge. It's like, it holds all those things together. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I gotta go, but Terry, what do you think? Because I like where you guys are going with this. This is kind of like my sweet tooth, faith, and thinking of it as paradox. That kind of tickled my fancy. I'm like, it's like, if you're really smart and intellectual and you can control the world, that's when God will put you in a situation where being smart and able won't get you out of the jam. And I think, I don't know, when you said paradox, I think maybe, so I guess it's a question and not a pushback or anything like that. Is paradox, and what Rigel was saying, is paradox a good petri dish for faith to grow in the environment? I'll be listening. Gotta go. Bye.
All right, Ron, thanks for dropping in.
Is paradox a good petri dish for faith to grow in? Whoa, that's a good question. I like that. Somebody write that question down. Whoa. Well, where I've been drifting as you guys are talking is the paradox within the paradox. That maybe either approach can work just as well when held in faith. And by either approach, I mean, we talk about the fact that the budget crunch is coming. We take the very painful actions and rest in faith things will work out. Or we don't talk about it. We only talk about how beautiful our future is going to be and know something will happen. Either one of those, if held properly, can probably make something work, but I'm incapable of the latter. There it is. That's my confession.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and that's how that's partly why I have come to love this developmental integral philosophy that kind of recognizes these worldviews, value systems within people who like are different than me, or maybe parts of myself that are older, less mature parts of myself, or parts of myself that I have yet to ascend to. And yet, like we're here because those systems aren't working anymore. We've like I've kind of outrun, what is it? Like the editors caught up with the creative. And I have to outrun the editor again by tacking away from the stability point. And it's but I can tack too hard as well and then blow it up.
Isn't that beautiful though? I mean, it's something about wrestling, with God, where you go for that move that you've never done before and you try it and you fail, but you're still being held by God. So I think we all need to kind of be willing to be courageous and, try the moves that were, maybe someone's more comfortable with certain expressions of faith, trust, I guess, and others are less comfortable. And we need to, I think this is the purpose of almsgiving, especially in our modern mammon culture. It's like you give money away to practice being comfortable that, like, I don't have to have it all. Like, and that's an act of faith that can be healing.
Yeah.
What'd she say? What Joy say?
Hey, Joy.
Yay, Joy's here.
She
Hi,
says,
Joy.
yes, dear Rigel. And I just love that you put dear Rigel there. That really, you can always do that. Abiding in paradox is a way to maintain that life-giving generative motion, stretching tension, growth of faith. Poiesis, Greek, wow, okay. Meaning a making or creation. Yes, 100% Joy. Abiding in paradox. That's kind of what I try to do with my little intro spiel every time I do this, is to try and create some paradox starter. I just started baking sourdough. Like, I learned how to bake sourdough, so now everything's like about sourdough. And but yeah, that's part of my way to seed the creativity, is to like try to model paradox somehow. Although,
yeah,
I don't know.
I have a practical question for you, Rigel.
So,
you have practiced the paradox of being where you're living in your normal domicile, and then you've sort of done this Earthstone thing, the cosmic navel. But you've also stepped beyond that, and you've created the secondary desert dwelling as a way of dancing in between, like in and out of urban and desert life, wilderness and chaos and order. And I'm just curious, like I'm like in the city too. Like I want to do that. Like I want to go out. Like I feel like there's a real need for me to have a space that's out in the kind of the country, the wilderness. I guess maybe it's not a practical question, but just like an observation. Do you feel like that's one way that you live in the paradox? Hey, Lukey.
Lukey, oh my gosh!
Hi.
Welcome to the cosmic navel, Luke.
It feels so nice. It's like I'm a little kitty cat just snuggling in. Meow meow.
Meow meow. Oh, good to see you here.
Can I jump in with the
just
thoughts
jump in.
that we're just bubbling up?
Please, please,
you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look at. I'm already thinking I'm like running the show, and I'm going to highlight comments. I can't do that. I'm powerless here. Unbelievable.
I'll do it for you.
There it is. Yeah. So when you guys are talking about faith, oh man. A couple things happened in chats this morning, and so this little mosaic happened around you guys talking about faith. And I think what faith is necessarily having trust in a person and not in, it can never be faith in knowledge as information. So knowledge as information is not faith. Like that's the antithesis of faith. And it makes me think of, so I'm a big Cormac fan. Cormac McCarthy shout out. Rest in peace. And his book, Blood Meridian, one of the lines that stuck out the most to me is Judge Holden has this line where he says, "What exists without my knowledge exists without my consent." And he is, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, but he is like, I don't know. He's a djinn. He's this mythic creature. He's as close, he's like a devil. He's as close as you could have to like a devil incarnate in fiction. And I think that line is almost, to me, you could almost put that as like the summary of the book. And people say Blood Meridian is kind of Cormac McCarthy's. People compare it to like Moby Dick, as it's like his most artistically praised work of art. And it's the subtitle of Blood Meridian is something about like the sun setting in the west. It's almost like the fall of the west. And Judge Holden is like the demon of the west. It's all set in the southwest, which Cormac was obsessed with. And I think that line is like the quintessential summation of Judge Holden's philosophy. What exists without my knowledge exists without my consent. And it's about will, and knowledge is information. And it's the opposite of faith.
As in, if something's beyond my control or beyond what I know, I want to hold everything tight, basically. Hold it in.
It's the opposite of let it be to me, according to your word.
That's good. I have a follow-up for you, Luke, on that concept of like knowledge. You can't have faith in knowledge, right? So a person may, by putting knowledge in text, convey some part of themselves, and we can know them through that, right?
Yeah, I think that's
the person that we're getting to know. It's just if you take that thing that they've written and then just sort of totally separate it from the person.
Yeah, I think that's art. I mean, that's what art does. Any form of true art or that's a true representation of whatever that kind of personal faith is. Because I mean, we do that through technology. I mean, that's what we'd say we're doing through this technology of the TLC. I think authors do that in books, both fiction and nonfiction. Like I think I got to know. I said this once to my wife, and it was one of those. I'm a weird person. I said something like I was talking to my friend, or my friend was telling me something, and I was talking about C.S. Lewis, and she was just like, "What?" And I was like, I mean, like I was communing with him through the books, and I just felt like, I mean, C.S. Lewis is one of those authors that I feel like I've read enough, and where, like it's Eucharistic knowledge. He's become part of me. He's just in there. The Bible's kind of like that too, it could always be more. Like, listen, serious Bible people, there's, I'm not trying to praise myself too much. Yeah, I mean,
that was exactly my point, I guess, is that it's like I want to maintain that the scriptures are a means of conveying the spirit, but separated from the body. Then that's when, and I'm using very mystical language to describe something very practical and tangible in order to avoid too much controversy, because that's how I roll. But
well, I always like the awaken. I'm gonna twist I'm gonna amend or make an addendum to the convey word, because I love George MacDonald in his imagination essay that Malcolm Guite. Go watch it. It's fantastic. Just go Malcolm Guite, George MacDonald, Imagination, and he does a lecture where he quotes a lot of it. And this just stuck out to me. Like, it was super salient. It was like one of the most shiny little word nuggets I've ever seen, where he said, words don't so much convey meaning as they awaken meaning.
Right.
And that's the difference between words as information and words as personalist seeds that can be awakened.
Okay. Beautiful. Well.
Hey, Freerillian. Hey, Sherry. Y'all come on in.
Yo. Rigel, I did bring a poem from the week I sent it to you if you'd like me to share it.
I would love that. And I just want to say, you sent me this beautiful email, and I thought I had responded. It's been a crazy week, but the way you described your return to the TLC was just so right on. I feel like you need to like post that somewhere.
Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I could share some of that now, or I could just share.
Did he go away?
Wherever the kind of spirit moves, Sam.
Yeah, I did. I went away intentionally for like, it was supposed to be longer, but it was like basically like 2 weeks, like fully gone.
You made it sound like it was going to be for the rest of your life, and like we made. Yeah.
Here's what I do. Like before I met my wife and I started dating, a week after I said I'm gonna be like Boaz and wait for my Ruth. I'm gonna be single indefinitely. Literally 6 days later, my wife called. She was like in the car. We were like, should we? Like I was like, this has got to be it. We're gonna start dating. But I was like, I can't make it official till tomorrow. It needs to be at least a full 7 days since I said that. So the next day we were official. So. Anyways,
okay, wait. One piece of context. I do have a little email list that I send out to these people, which can be found in the description of this video. So if you go to the video and click the little like Google form, you can be on my little reminder list. And I gave Sam the opportunity, at the bottom of every email, that you're welcome to just bow out if you need to. And it's like you went and you came back. Just like Sam, I feel like that was a fractal of my journeying from Austin to my New Mexico property and back. Okay? We're just on the same journey. Is there something really loud going on?
Oh, it might be me.
Yeah.
Where do I turn off?
You can mute yourself down the bottom left. Just click on your mic thing.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
You were an admin master. You're an admin master.
Rigel cannot stand other sounds going on.
I have a really hard time with it. It's like there are people in my life who know me well make fun of me about how I have a hard time with like background music. And yet I'm a background musician. It's just the paradox. Okay.
I do the same thing. I'll be in a conversation with people and all of a sudden a song will come. I'll be like, it's Radiohead. Do you hear that? They're playing Radiohead. I'm so excited.
All right. Hey, right. Sherry. Sam is about to share some of his creativity.
Yeah, I will share. I read the whole writing and that was about 5 minutes. So if you add the little bit that I sent you, it'll be about 7 minutes, if that's okay.
That's okay with me.
Okay. All right, I'll just read it. Hey, Rigel. After getting some space from TLC, I've decided it's worth investing in. Here's my thesis. The internet is its own kind of cosmos. Think space, or sphere, like the one in the icons of the Theotokos. Like the Theotokos, it's our responsibility to cooperate in the redemption of that cosmos, to make space for Christ to fill it. That means, like the Theotokos, a humble and willing yes to the messenger of the one true God. In this case, it seems there's a certain creation mandate, go into all the earth and fill it, operating in conjunction with Christ's commission, go into all the world and make disciples. World, similar cosmos. The world of the internet is one such place. Seeing that our species has made, we need to go into as salt and light. TLC is doing the previously unimaginable, making a place for friendship, for discipleship in the internet wasteland. So yes, basically I'm willing to give it some measure of attention as one part of holistic life calling, purpose, mission, vocation, or whatever you want to call it. I'm being a little glib here because I'm very hesitant to use language indicating I think that like the Lord himself spoke to me to do a particular thing. I grew up in a very charismatic setting where folks would throw around like the Lord told me all the time. And I developed a deep allergy to such flippant invoking of the Lord. But the rub for now, I'll come play and offer myself as part of the mosaic. Thank you for being brave and willing to create a space in your channel that affords my brand of participation, not really creating my own channel content, but just flitting in and dropping one of the various prophetic inspirations that flow through my soul for some weird reason. To that end, here's the latest writing. When I was a boy, my dad taught me 2 lessons. 1, never go into debt. 2, never get fat. Credit and carbs were easy to access in his world. Free? Yeah, he was free. Free to be entrapped by the shiny industrial strength machinations of corporatism and greed gone amok. The image of him struggling to get up off the bathroom floor is etched in my mind. Never get fat. The lesson went deep. I've never been fat. I've been a little fat, true. I've also never been in deep consumer debt. I've been in a little debt. My dad was the son of an alcoholic. There's very little I know about my grandfather, but I know he was a drunk. My dad faced his own demons of alcoholism. The year I was born, on Father's Day, was the year he quit alcohol for good. He didn't touch a drink for more than 20 years, and now he's free to enjoy it occasionally. That is no small feat. So if his dad struggled with an appetite for alcohol, and my dad beat that, if my dad struggled with an appetite for food and money, and I beat that, what appetites will I struggle with that my kids will beat? I think it's this: attention. When I was growing up, who even knew there would be such a thing as an attention economy? Who knew that whatever it tended to grows? Get people to look at your thing and you'll profit. Come to think of it, it's kind of like a Luciferian look and live that actually possesses and poisons, but I digress. And now here we are, my 4-year-old saying 6, 7, because the attention economy has ground down what childhood means to a nub. Get them early, get them young, get them while they're still susceptible to peer pressure and influencers. It's good for GDP. We can't limit productive capital. We might slide into economic oblivion against the mighty weight of China's advancements. So any notion of a government or a father needing to participate in the moral formation of its people is tossed out in pursuit of mammon. And you reap what you sow. Mammon is a tacky god. Play tacky games, win tacky prizes. Our meme lord DJT is the quintessential representation of this low-tier, tacky, tasteless, number-go-up phony baloney. He's all surface. What you see is what you get. He's golden arches and glitzy girls. He wants to bring back the promise of Happy Meals and high-interest credit cards. Didn't he get the memo? The dream of the 90s is dead. The dream of the 80s is even deader. We are in need of rule. That's the truth. Not law and order out there, but self-rule in here. We need each man to rule himself if we're ever to see anything like a prospering nation. Make America great again? Sure. But if America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. What do you do in a land that cannot even fathom the beginnings of the question, what does it mean for a man to be good? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Wisdom is being able to choose among options, good and bad. The fear of the Lord is at least this, the respecting of reality. This is why Jordan Peterson was such a lightning rod. In a nation that had all but forgotten about respecting reality, he pointed to it unflinchingly. But that is merely the beginning of wisdom. To be made aware is to just start on the path. Most of our leaders are not respecters of reality, not God-fearers. When Obama said, God bless America, it felt the same way as when Oscar winner thanks God. And when Trump says it, you feel almost a blasphemy has been committed. Talk is cheap. They worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And even more insidiously, there are those who use God's name as a cover for their incompetence or malevolence. At least Trump is honest. If there is a heaven, he doesn't think he belongs there. There are others who lead us from a place of supposed spiritual ascendance, who couldn't walk a mile in the shoes of the least of these, who couldn't truly pray for an hour, whose sacrifice would be rejected if they ever thought to make the attempt. So, as I see the chaos waters threatening to drown the tiny cosmos that I inhabit, the space I've created for me and my people, I'm telling myself, now is the time for self-mastery. Now is the time to rule. Yes, to rule over myself, to rule over my attention. When the sirens call of soothing screens, to forget all that suffering means, to forget body in the phantasmic sheen, to forget hardship in pursuit of dreams. Let's make a brave new world together. Let's give a damn, free from the tether of self-serving, enslaving appetite, of greed and lust and every vice. Where is such power to rule the South? Where on earth can you drink to health? What can you eat to fill you up, so you're not full of all that's corrupt? There is no meal except the table that will ever make you able to satisfy your heart's deep longing for communion, purpose, and belonging. Because the mystery of mysteries is in submission to right authority, and in our heart of hearts a yes is where the faithful one doth bless.
So good, Sam.
Thank you.
Amen.
Sherry, good to see you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Do you have any thoughts or reflections on what we just heard from Sam, or anything else that's bubbling up in the cosmic navel that reaches from Alaska to Minnesota to Washington, D.C. to Austin, Texas? Okay?
I'm not in Alaska.
Wait, British Canada. Sorry.
Just pretend. It's the closest American thing we have.
To Americans,
least- close.
everything is America.
At least he didn't. At least he didn't forget your place. Like everyone always forgets Detroit. Or just leave out Detroit again.
Detroit has long since been forgotten, Sam.
Exactly.
We say. Well, when I was listening to Sam reading his essay/poem, I was thinking, Sam's kind of like if Wendell Berry was a rapper.
Yeah.
That's what I liked. Speaking of which, I have a Wendell Berry poem
Ooh.
that somebody sent me, and I just can't let it lie there. It needs to be shared. So here
Well,
we go.
this is great.
And I thought this is the place where we share things. So
Yeah, it
here
is.
I am. Okay.
Can I just, before you go, I just want to acknowledge, Sam, that I was really struck by the idea of your grandfather overcame one set of things, your father another, and you overcoming a third. That was really beautiful for me. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And speaking of rappers, I don't know if any of you follow, there's a guy named Matthew Wilkinson who has a channel, and he's an organist. He's actually a doctor, Matthew Wilkinson. I don't know what he's a doctor of, but I think he's in South Carolina, actually. He's somewhere near Andrew Gould, the architect that works with Peugeot. And anyway, I started it yesterday, but I wasn't feeling well, and I was laying in bed, and I fell asleep halfway through it, so I didn't finish it yet. But an Orthodox priest, he's an Ethiopian Orthodox priest who baptized Nina Simone, was a dear friend to Bob Marley,
No.
and was the father of rap. Okay? You need to watch it.
What? Wait.
Yeah.
He baptized Nina Simone?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that she was
Got to hear his
Orthodox.
story. He's just like the coolest guy. Like we just need to have like a watch party. Too bad we can't just do that. But
we can do that here on the
well,
Cosmic Navel.
not on YouTube though. I don't think you can watch a whole video. But anyway,
we can try.
So yeah, and they will go, and you will disappear. Or just
Oh,
like that.
man.
They will
I have
wake your
faith.
magic wand. Now they have the serpent who seeks whom he may devour on YouTube. So they're really fast at getting your videos down. It's called AI.
I know. All right, share that poem.
Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
I'm going to try to read it with a little zest. I am done with apologies. If contrariness is my inheritance and destiny, so be it. If it is my mission to go in at exits and come out at entrances, so be it. I've planted by the stars in defiance of the experts, and tilled somewhat by incantation and by singing, and reaped, as I knew, by luck and heaven's favor in spite of the best advice. If I have been caught so often laughing at funerals, that was because I knew the dead were already slipping away, preparing a comeback. And can I help it? And if at weddings I have gritted and gnashed my teeth, it was because I knew where the bridegroom had sunk his manhood, and knew it would not be resurrected by a piece of cake. Dance, they told me, and I stood still. And while they stood quiet in line at the gate of the kingdom, I danced. Pray, they said, and I laughed, covering myself in the earth's brightnesses, and then stole off gray into the midst of a revel and prayed like an orphan. When they said, I know my Redeemer liveth, I told them, he's dead. And when they told me God is dead, I answered, he goes fishing every day in the Kentucky River. I see him often. When they asked me, would I like to contribute? I said no. And when they had collected more than they needed, I gave them as much as I had. When they asked me to join them, I wouldn't, and then went off by myself and did more than they would have asked. Well, then, they said, go and organize the International Brotherhood of Contraries. And I said, did you finish killing everybody who was against peace? So be it. Going against men, I have heard at times a deep harmony thrumming in the mixture. And when they ask me what I say, I don't know. It is not the only or the easiest way to come to the truth. It is one way.
That's really good. That's really good, Sherry.
Isn't it?
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
just, it's like I feel like it's one of those pieces of art that is, and this is why art is often so powerful. I do dream of overcoming this, that we can transcend this within even propositional mode, but like a piece of art like that, just, you have to just take it. This is the way I'll try to compare it. Sorry, briefly, but like I was talking to McMo about something OG Rose said, and it has to do with time. And he was saying, trust me, this will come back to the poem, but it's almost like how Terrence Malick makes films, or Heidegger is talking about things, is because like that piece of poetry, you just hear it and you have to accept it as a whole. If you go in and you start dissecting it and breaking it apart, it won't work.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of good art does. It's almost like the logic. It's the difference of logic of geometry versus algebra, and how that affects time. Because like if you just look at a triangle, the logic of a triangle is one. You can't break it down. If you start breaking it down, it
turns into more triangles, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Geometry is just it's a unity at one automatically, but algebra requires time. It's like A plus B equals C. It's like this linear process kind of a thing. But a triangle is just a triangle, and that poem is just a triangle. Like you just hear it, and
Well,
it's just.
I love the line where he says something about a harmony thrumming in the mixture, right? Of his, they say dance and he says no, and they say come and he says no, and he goes out at entrances and in at exits, and you know what I mean? There is a harmony that thrums in that mixture.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it reminds me of the Holy Fool, actually.
Yeah.
It's what the Holy Fool does, where his contrariness, like there's that film I watched a long time ago. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about this holy fool in a monastery, and he's acting as a balance for the monks, like not outside people, right? And he comes into the liturgy late. Well, I mean, how can you be late in an Orthodox liturgy? But he comes in rather late.
There it is.
And then he faces the wrong direction. And everybody's, it's an affront to their piety, right? And that's what it's meant to be. It's a reminder. It's a reminder of what, like Sam said, where they're putting their attention, right? And so then they'll come and turn him, because he acts like a mentally retarded person, and they turn him to face the front, and then as soon as they let go of his shoulders, he revolves back to his original position, and that's exactly what Wendell Berry's doing in the poem, And there's another one, if I could, it's brief, but there's another one by Bukowski that I read recently, and it's so good.
Yes. Before you do, were you describing a scene in the movie Ostrov?
No.
Of turning the Holy Fool around? Have you all seen Ostrov?
No, I don't think it was that one. It was.
My God. Okay. Especially if you're new to the
Can you
Orthodox
write
scene.
it in the chat? Can you write the name in the chat?
Ostrov. It's called The Island. Ostrov. It's.
That's it. That's the one.
Oh, that's the one. Okay. Yeah.
The Island.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It is. It's the best. It's one of the best. I watch it like every 2 years. The last 20 years. So, it is so good. All right.
Yeah. Well, here's another holy fool, in my opinion. His name is Charles Bukowski.
Hey, Christian.
This poem's called The History of One Tough Motherfucker. He came to the door one night, wet, thin, beaten, and terrorized. A white, cross-eyed, tailless cat. I took him in and fed him, and he stayed. Grew to trust me until a friend drove up the driveway and ran him over. I took what was left to a vet who said, "Not much chance. Give him these pills. His backbone is crushed, but it was crushed before and somehow mended. If he lives, he'll never walk. Look at these x-rays. He's been shot. Look here, the pellets are still there. Also, he once had a tail and somebody cut it off." I took the cat back. It was a hot summer, one of the hottest in decades. I put him on the bathroom floor, gave him water and pills. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't touch the water. I dipped my finger into it and wet his mouth, and I talked to him. I didn't go anywhere. I put in a lot of bathroom time and talked to him and gently touched him. And he looked back at me with those pale blue crossed eyes. And as the days went by, he made his first move, dragging himself forward by his front legs. The rear ones wouldn't work. He made it to the litter box, crawled over and in. It was like the trumpet of possible victory, blowing in that bathroom and into the city. I related to that cat. I'd had it bad. Not that bad, but bad enough. One morning he got up, stood up, fell back down, and just looked at me. "You can make it," I said to him. He kept trying, getting up, falling down. Finally, he walked a few steps. He was like a drunk. The rear legs just didn't want to do it, and he fell again, rested, then got up. You know the rest. Now he's better than ever. Cross-eyed, almost toothless, but the grace is back, and that look in his eyes never left. And now sometimes I'm interviewed. They want to hear about life and literature, and I get drunk and hold up my cross-eyed cat, shot, run over, detailed, and I say, look at this. But they don't understand. They say something like, "You say you've been influenced by Celine." No, I hold up the cat. By what happens? By things like this. By this. By this. I shake the cat and hold him up in the smoky and drunken light. He's relaxed. He knows. It's then that the interview ends. Although I'm proud sometimes when I see the pictures later, and there I am, and there's the cat, and we are photographed together. He too knows it's bullshit, but somehow it all helps.
Mm.
That's another good one.
That's great.
Right?
That reminded you sent me a video of Father Roman Braga a few weeks ago, and I just finally finished watching it this week, and
Who?
it reminds
Who
me
is it?
Father Roman Braga.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, if there was someone who went through a lot of difficulty, and I'm just to put it lightly, but because he's like the cat, on the other side, and the Lord's holding him up and saying, like, look,
By
this is real, this is true. And glory to God that there's people who've endured that level of suffering, and because of that can be lights. I was thinking of it, it's like Jesus spat on the dirt and used that to rub it in the man's eyes who was blind, and that's what healed him. And it's like, to be the dirt, glory to God, he used Roman Braga in that way. He reposed here. Well, I don't know if he reposed here in Michigan or not, but he definitely had a monastery here in Michigan for a long time. So he's near and dear to us over here in Land of the Hand.
And I've heard from people, I'm trying to remember if it was Dawn or Stephanie who visited him at the monastery more than once, And other people, whenever I've mentioned him, have said, oh yeah, he was my priest, spiritual father. And, I'm just like, if you could just get a little bit of that, even if it's through a second or third person, because he's pretty, what my favorite part is in that interview, Sam, is when the geese fly by or the geese make that noise during your interview. And he's in the middle of answering a question and he stops and he goes, aha. You know, like he reaches out to them. Now suddenly he's talking to them, and they're talking to him, and then he returns to the interview. You know, that's attention, Sam.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Some people call it ADHD. I call it holiness. All right.
That's why we're all here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. I love what you just said, Sam, to be the dirt. In that parable. I've never thought of that parable in that way.
I wrote a song.
I don't know where it comes from, so glory to God. I just say stuff.
I think that might be another poem for you coming up.
I wrote a song called Down Where the Dirt Is a long time ago.
Oh, yeah?
Switzerland. Down where the dirt is, that's where life's got to be. Down where the dirt is, far from sterility. Down where the dirt is, where the low life loves to grow. Down where the dirt is, where there ain't no time for show. That was my chorus.
Yeah. It's.
I think it's why I love Charles Bukowski.
I mean, it keeps coming back to the paradox. Dirt is it's like a derogatory term that we use, and yet it's the most nourishing thing that we all depend on.
It's what we're made of.
Yeah.
So like this is what that makes me think of is this is deep evangelical lore, but are people aware of the song He Loves Us by John Mark McMillan?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lyric in that song where he says heaven meets earth like a sloppy wet kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a great lyric. And then
That is.
and I love the background of that song. Like I'm not a big CCM person, but that song and John Mark McMillan are A-okay. But David Crowder, who was a big contemporary Christian music singer, he covered that song and he changed the lyric. Christian's here for it. He changed the lyric. And he said, heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss.
From sloppy wet kiss
to unforeseen kiss, because he's like, it's too, I don't know. I think because it seemed sacrilegious or like too earthy, too like sloppy wet kiss is a very earthy, visual, messy line, and David Crowder's like, nah, that's not gonna, there's gonna be people that don't like that lyric. And so let's change it to unforeseen kiss.
It's erotic, as in Eros, right?
Yeah.
John O'Donohue in that Blessing of the Senses, he ends it with may the Eros of the earth, something or other, draw you in, or I can't remember how the last line exactly, but yeah.
Luke, what you're doing right now reminds me of another dirt adjacent reference, which is Rob Bell's Dust of the Rabbi.
dust.
Like you've got that thing going right now. You're basically like wearing that thing that he would wear. He's like, dude, like
I am. That's what PVK said. He's like, the corner doesn't need Rob Bell. They have me. So
it's true. Christian, welcome.
Thank you.
To the Cosmic Navel.
Diving in.
What's bubbling up for you?
Oh man. Well, I was just listening along to the Wendell Berry and then whatever previous, the tough motherfucker, and I don't know what else, but I was like, man, this is beyond. This is past my limits as the corner pop guy. Like, I just happened to talk about David Crowder, and right as I was like clicking on, I was like, okay. How many times I've played that song, like recorded that song, been asked the funny joke, are you a sloppy wet kiss guy or unforeseen kiss guy? That was like, the youth pastor, you come to do the event, the youth pastor's like, so which one are you? Cool. Now,
which side?
Which one?
There was a great David Crowder. So like he has a B-sides album. I'm trying to find it right now.
Yeah.
Where it is a Come and Listen. Just look up the song David Crowder, Come and Listen. Like that song will make me cry about as hard as He Loves Us. Because like He Loves Us, to me, I thought This is what the flip that happened to me. I heard the story behind it. So like if you hear the original version, because I heard Crowder's first, and it's this long, drawn out thing. But then I watched a documentary of John Mark McMillan, I don't know, a long time ago, where he tells the backstory of how he wrote that song. And I was just like, I now will love this song forever, because he wrote it after one of his best friends died in a car accident. And he sings about that, like the lyric, or there's a line, at the end of his song where he's breaking, in the original recording, where he's breaking down and crying because he can't say it because someone asked, how does it go? You might know this better than me, Christian. Somebody asked him, like, how is this good, or something like that, and he said, if my friend was here, he would say, damn, what is it?
I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with the lore of the song, but yeah, I mean, that's somewhere.
He was basically saying, like, he's okay with this. Like, he knows it's all good. Like, he's at a place where he realizes God is good and this isn't a tragedy. You know?
Yeah, I think there's always an interesting juxtaposition of when there's tragedy strikes, there are different postures in which God approaches us, and or at least pastorally, you wonder which one should you approach. And I think it's not, from my experience, the best way to lead isn't from God's plan in suffering, but from God's, joining us in suffering, but that maybe both of those are true. Like, but which one do you offer somebody, in the midst of tragedy? And a lot of times, like, someone's kid's like in the hospital on life support, and like, God has a plan. You're like, okay, like.
Yeah.
But that's knowledge. That's the knowledge versus faith thing that we were talking about. I was thinking about this morning because it's kind of riffing off of a lot of what Sherry was talking about in the Free Rillian plug, the Free Rillian G.K. Chesterton and Chill stream with Jess, because they got into Job and morality and meaning. And I was like, do we really believe as Christians that suffering is the transformative thing that makes us godlike? Because that really is the thing. And then suffering, that's what eucatastrophe is. Like, eucatastrophe retroactively transforms suffering into glory. The suffering isn't suffering. It's not bad. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead. I was just going to say, Rigel, you were talking, Christian, you said tragedy. I feel like leaning into the tragedy is sort of the paradox of what Rigel was talking about before, which is like, if you step into like every day, tragedy is every day. It's part of every day. Like, you are stuck in the tragic limitation of what you are possibly able to do in a day. Like, you're forced into that choice. Just like our friend Jordan Peterson, he would talk about, like, you voluntarily accept suffering and you commit to a path. And when you commit to that path, then potentiality opens up beyond you. If
True.
you accept that. And to me, one thing that really has heightened my sense of the beauty of this was, one, when I was basically, occasionally I pray better than other times. I'm very bad at praying, I'm just being honest. But sometimes when I actually pray, there's a prayer that's in the Orthodox tradition that's about when you lay down at bed, you're entering into your coffin, essentially. Like, this is my coffin. Tomorrow I'll run. And there was a story I heard of Bob Odenkirk, actually, when he had his heart attack on the set of Breaking Bad, or Better Call Saul, I think, actually. He had a heart attack. He barely came back. But when he did come back and woke up 10 days later, he said every day, it was like, for a month, it was like, you watch the grass, it's beautiful. The wind touching his cheek, you're just amazed at it. He said, I wish everyone could have the experience of experiencing the tragedy of, like, your own death. And what I realized is, in that prayer, is you can, if you live it, and you by faith, as we talked about earlier, by faith, walk in that and see that and integrate that, then you can wake up every day as like, because the true reality is every day is a gift. Like, there is no guarantee of this day, and it's like, you can walk in that. Glory to God. Like,
Sam, I often think about the fact that we we think we have the knowledge of good and evil, but we were barred from the garden, from the tree of life, because we don't. But we think because we took from the tree, we're like, we took from the tree. And then we were cast into the thorns, right? That's kind of like the overarching theme in iconography is, that's where we live. We live in the thorns, right? And when Paul had his road of Damascus moment, Jesus asked him, "Why are you kicking against the thorns? This is where you are. This is your here-ness. This is your now-ness. Why are you doing this? You can't change it, right?" And I just know for myself, most of my struggles were trying to get away from the thorns, the suffering, right? But when you learn to encounter the suffering as something that is making you, then it becomes a gift.
Yeah. It's so easy to say. So hard to do.
Well, it's the finishing of creation, and then Christ wore them as a crown. Like, it's really interesting to follow the thread of the thorn, and because it's a theme. It's a very sublime and subtle theme throughout. It's just kind of, it's like that one silver or golden thread that's woven into the tapestry that you don't see until the light shines on it, right?
The seed falls among thorns, and then Paul kept a thorn close to his side.
You gotta have that thorn in your side until you can wear it like a crown.
Come on, Luke.
He had one in his side. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we're coming up to the hour, which is when we have to land the plane, and I just want to let you all have a final word. Any final thoughts, reflections, gentle challenge and support? Okay, that's welcome here too.
Challenge and support. Yeah. It was fun having Luke bring up the evangelical worship culture. I still keep tabs on that world, mainly through like Instagram. But one of the really interesting podcasts I just listened to was Chris Tomlin's guitar player. It said he played guitar for Chris Tomlin for 17 years, and he just walked away. It was clickbait. So I went and listened, but it was actually really good story. He's down there in Austin somewhere, Rigel. So if you run into him, or you may know him, who knows?
I don't, but I know he's down here.
Yeah, but he's it was just an interesting story because he had 3 years where he quit prior and was angry and didn't listen to worship music or anything for like 3 years, and his kids would be listening to it, and he said it was like they were like they had to hide the drugs in the house because when he would come home, it's like, don't you be listening to that, all these songs he wrote. And then it had like a redemptive story related to his, but so much of just a lot of these conversations, Rob Bell and like the integration into our lives from where we come from to where we're going, and then just the and that we have to figure out how to love that part of us, accept that part of our journey in a way, even if we're not still connected to that in the same ways. But the other piece was I sent Luke one of my old. He was calling me a capitalist or whatever because I have membership on my channel. I sent him one of my old album things, and one of the songs I covered was "Dust" by or not "Beautiful Things" by Unger, who himself is trying to write a mystical hymnal right now because he got out of the church and he wished. Now he's like, I miss singing in church so bad, and he's like kind of trying to like figure his way back in. And but so to share something poetic, all these things, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if life could really change at all. All this dirt, if could all that is lost ever be found? could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of dirt, out of dust. You make beautiful things out of dust. The end.
Amen.
Spoken like a true capitalist. I'll just give you a hard time, Chris. I want to meditate more on thorns, and Sherry, that's given me a lot to think on, so thank you. Thorns come out of the dirt too. Something about dirt and thorns and crowns and glory and suffering is all kind of
Dirt,
rattling around.
like dirt as matter, mother, and also your clay house. There's a lot going on.
You know, the tough part of the brain is called the dura mater, tough mother, actually.
The what part of the brain?
The like tough tissue that surrounds it.
Oh,
It's called the dura mater. So, tough
Wow.
mother.
Interesting. Sherry, Luke, Terry.
Skulled.
Yeah.
We're all thick-skulled with that tough mutter. You know, I don't have any words.
All right, Terry, go for it.
I'm cooking on something about suffering, the paradox parallel to the paradox we started out with between having faith and an outcome, or faith you could do the right thing. There's something about the courage to reframe suffering, but it's only half a thought at this point, so maybe next week.
We'll bring it next week then.
well, I just my mind is floating around, so I didn't pay enough attention. But did you say the courage to refrain from suffering?
No, reframe.
Reframe. Okay. I was like, how do you do that? Okay, got it.
Spiritual
I will
bypass.
just volunteer with the courage to refrain from suffering. Okay. I'll do that. It's my cross to bear.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna read a little poem that I wrote at the tent recently.
Good. Close us out, Sherry.
The wind blows premonitions across the water. The lake dances in response. You sit bobbing alone, I standing alone. We see each other. There is nothing to do about our aloneness. We have much in common, both alive, both hearing the premonitions, both alone, and there is nothing to be done about it, except flight. Yes, we can fly. This we also share. Yet I pick ashes from my coffee, take another sip. You preen and dive and dip your beak in and out of the water, taking in and pushing out. We are waiting. We see each other again, fixed. We tell ourselves that the time will come, and when it does, we will know, and we will fly. Everything will stay just as it is now, and it will wait for us to return. I turn back to the door and enter. You dive deep to the depths where the wind cannot blow. We feel no premonitions there.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah,
Thank you all for coming on. This is another full channel
that was great.
on the free StreamYard. I can't get any more full than
Did
this.
you do a Ko-fi link yet?
I haven't done a Ko-fi link. I got too much on my plate, but I'll get there one day. Sherry, I'll
Someone
get there one day.
Just put a tin cup out.
Did you have the privilege of not being able to let someone into the studio because it was full? Such a fun time.
Yeah, well, okay. I actually haven't seen anybody come on that I couldn't let on yet, so I haven't had that full privilege. It's more of a implied privilege.
Yeah.
So nice to see you, Dan. Yep.
Dead.
It's good to see you, man.
All right, and thank you everyone in the chat for chiming in so wonderfully.
Nice to be with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good
Good to be with you, Sherry. Thank you.
Couple
Yeah.
of them
Bye,
half
guys.
met. Good to see you.
See y'all. Meow meow. All right.